So we are getting to the next part of this mindfulness for young adults session. So that is actually a discussion related to the one of the interesting books compiled by Most Venerable Katukurunde Jnanananda Mahathero. That is Concept and Reality in Early Buddhist Thought. And we have come to an interesting point there. Probably we can start from there, where Katukurunde Thero is coming up with what we see as could you come to that diagram first, Saman?
Yeah, Bhante.
Do you have the new one, the new updated one, which I have shared with you? Not this one. Not this one. So let me share it from my end.
Yeah.
Shall I? Okay. So this is the new one. I want to little pay attention. So according to the Madhipundika Sutta, Venerable Jnanananda Mahathero actually coming up with very interesting findings here. So once we closely analyze the sutta, once we closely pay attention to the grammar of the sutta, how the whole flow is explained by Venerable Mahakachana, Venerable Katukurunde Thero actually divides into three components. The first part or first stage comprising some kind of a causal reaction going on, which is quite common to everyone. Chakkuncha paticca rupecha uppajjati chakku viññānam tinnaṃ saṅgati passo passa paccā vedana. Now this is a very, very immediate causal reaction going on. As a result of eye and form, the eye consciousness comes to be, and this process continues. As a result of that, eye form, eye consciousness appear like available again and again, happening again and again, occurring, reoccurring. And as a result of that, all three together comes up with what we call as the contact, the passa. Passa causes feeling, vedana, passa paccā vedana. Tinnaṃ saṅgati passo, passa paccā vedana. Yang vedeti tan sanjānāti, yang sanjānāti tang vitakketi, yang vitakketi tang papañceti. Now there the verb is introduced. Now previously it's in a kind of a causal way it is represented grammatically, but in the second part, yang vedeti tan sanjānāti, yang sanjānāti tang vitakketi, yang vitakketi tang papañceti. Now this is indicating someone is doing it. A kind of an agent is there, kind of a person is there. Now this person is now interacting. This person is now getting involved in this whole process. Now he perceives like he has seen something through his eye. So some knowledge has happened, some knowing has happened, some cognition has happened. And as a result of that, now he needs to properly recognize it. Yang vedeti tan sanjānāti. He wants to recognize it. He wants to see what it is. Now there's an already collected data bank, we can say, kind of information, various kinds of memories available. So now he's doing a very quick analysis, a very quick, what we call as a kind of a comparison with available data. And now as a result of that, he is coming up with, okay, this is what I see. This is what I have seen. And again, now he does not just mere stop at the recognition. He starts thinking about it. He starts thinking in this way. He starts thinking in many different ways. So in multitude ways, he is thinking. Now that is where yang vitakketi tam papañceti. It may reach to the papañceti. That means he is now slowly doing manifold thinking. Now he's the one who starting this process now. He voluntarily or he purposely, intentionally, he is thinking in many different directions, many different ways. So that is our second stage, where the person is involving, he is interacting, is basically participating in the process. Important, interesting part is the third stage, where this momentum is now carrying forward and the thinking become more stronger. And ultimately, this very person can't stop it. So he becomes a poor victim of that very process, thinking process. So that indicates papanca saññā saṅkhā samudācaranti. where various different kinds of concepts characterized by the prolific tendency assail him. So various papancha sanya sankha, that means various concepts are now being generated in his mind, and various thoughts are generated in his mind. Further thinking is generated in his mind. More and more conceptual proliferation is now going on in the mind. So ultimately he can't stop. He becomes a simple victim of that whole process. You can see a very interesting 3 stages here he points out. The first stage, there is no personal involvement. Second stage, there is a very interesting intervention by the person. Third stage, where that very person is in a passive situation, where that very process which has begun is now taken forward. It has become more powerful, and that process itself is now governing the person. The process has taken the person to be a victim. So these are the 3 stages. So he is pointing out. So that is where we basically discussed last time. And from that point onwards, we can start today's discussion. Someone please go ahead with your yeah.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, shall I read it from the place where we stopped the other day, or?
Yes. Maybe you can start a little bit before that, so that we can get a kind of a continuation.
Oh, yeah, okay. So shall I start?
Oh, it is too much, no? I mean, if you are going too far, then we'll start from where we stopped.
Yeah. We can all start from here then. The tangled maze.
Okay.
Yeah. The tangled maze, with its apparent objectivity, entices the worldlings and ultimately obsesses and overwhelms him. The Buddha has compared the aggregate of consciousness to a conjurer's trick or an illusion, Maya, and we may connect it with the above-mentioned image of the resurrected tiger. It must be confessed at this stage that the interpretation of the Madhupindika formula of sense perception differs to some extent from that advanced by Buddha Ghosha. Besides rendering Papancha Sanya Sanka as Prapancha Kottasa, parts of Prapancha, thereby ignoring its essential connection with language, Buddha Ghosha pays little attention to the peculiar syntactical arrangements of the formula. This latter peculiarity will be obvious when one compares the above formula with another occurring in the Nidhana Samyutta of the Sangyutta Nikaya.
Okay, one moment. Now, basically, here, Bhante Nyananda points out, so we can say not enough emphasis is given to the grammar, not enough emphasis or close attention is given to that particular passage what we have referred, and we are able to understand very interesting information as we just discussed, that Madhupindika formula plays very interesting finding. So that is the first part being a causal reaction going on. Second part being a person is involved, he intentionally participate. And the third part where that the generated proliferation has completely assailed that particular person. So this finding, as Katakulanda Thero points out, being missed or not enough attention is given, or not close attention was given to that particular grammar available in that area. So when Buddha was in a way has paid enough attention, probably his understanding, the way he interpreted this sutta could be different. But anyway, now he has given kind of a little analysis, not very close attention was paid, and certain important aspects were missed. So as a result of that, he's giving a different explanation about this component of the sutta. Yeah.
There's a Pali footnote, Bhante. Shall I read that, or shall I?
Okay.
Pena
Pindupamang Rupang Vedana Bubbulupama Marichukupama Sanya sankhara kadalupama mayupamancha viññānaṁ dīpitādicca bandhuna. Now this is again in the Penapimdupama Sutta of the Samyutta Nikaya, where Buddha is pointing out consciousness aggregate as a magician. Mayupamancha viññānaṁ. Consciousness aggregate is very much like a maya, like a magic magician is showing. Because, you know, this everything appears in the mind. The mind can show that things are available. Mind can show that things are not available. It can create a whole sort of story depending on all that sense data it has accumulated. So that's why we are growing towards the papancha. So ultimately papancha is something solid. It becomes a very solid thing. And the language itself becomes kind of a godly thing. And it is generating a very solid, real-like world. And ultimately the man is in that world, completely bewildered, completely deluded in that net of thoughts, or in that net of what we call as a name and form, the Namarupa. So the Namarupa has now have grown and the person has entangled in that. But anyway, Venerable Buddhaghosa has missed a little bit of that. And as a result of that, he is giving a different definition for Papancha Sanya Sankha. He is referring it as Papancha Kotthasa, the parts of Papancha. But as Katakunda Thero points out, Papancha Sanya Sankha basically indicates kind of prolific certain concepts generated, certain sort of language components, or certain concepts, or certain measurements generated because of the prolific tendency of the mind. So ultimately what mind generates are again the concepts, and those concepts are now again causing this person to continue his conceptualization. Too much thinking, obsessive thinking, overthinking is further strengthened because of the concepts generated. So ultimately this person is in a vicious cycle, ultimately is fully trapped in the thinking. And now he is pointing out another part. We can go a little further, Saman.
Yeah.
Now that is where Katakunda Thero is taking a different sutta from the Nidana Samyutta to show us the kind of a causal relationship of the same statement without, in the Madhupindika Sutta, it gives one emphasis, and the second sutta taken in the Nidana Samyutta goes for a different emphasis. So you can go to the next paragraph.
Yeah. The second footnote?
No. Yeah.
From here, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Chakkunchavaso paticca roopecha uppajjati chakku viññānam tinnam sangati passo passa paccaya vedana vedana paccaya tanha tanha paccaya upadānam upadāna paccaya bhavo bhava paccaya jati jati paccaya jaramaranam soka parideva dukkha domanassa upāyāsa sambhavanti ayam lokassa samudayo ayam lokassa samudayo. Right. Yep. Because of I and material objects, brethren, arises visual consciousness. The meeting of the three is sensory impingement. Because of sensory impingement arises feeling. Because of feeling, craving. Because of craving, grasping. Because of grasping, becoming. Because of becoming, birth. And because of birth, decay and death. Grief, lamentation, suffering and despair arise. This is the arising of the world. In this case, the formula of perception is seen to branch off towards the stereotyped formula of paticca samuppada, dependent arising. The aim here is to illustrate the fact of dependent arising. The Madhupindika formula, on the other hand, has a different purpose. And this we may ascertain from a study of the context. It must be noted that the formula in question is in effect a commentary by Mahakaccayana on the following brief discourse by the Buddha.
Okay, so basically here we can see an interesting sutta where Buddha takes some similar pattern, kind of similar series, a similar formula, but connecting it with the Patissamuppada. Now, previously we understood, can you little go up,
Yeah.
Aman, that the
Yeah.
Pali statement?
Here, Chakkunchauso.
Yeah, here now you can see the kind of a comparison if we make Chakkunchauso paticca rupecha uppajji chakkuviññānaṁ tinnaṁ sangati passo passapacca vedana. So this is very, same as in the Madhupindika Sutta. There is no difference at all. So that means that the causal part is same in this particular sutta as well as in the Madhupindika Sutta. It is very same. And there a person is involved, and that involvement, that participation, and ultimately he becoming a victim of that very process is highlighted. So the purpose of explanation is different. But in this sutta, what the Katupun Thero is highlighting in here, again, this is in the Samyutta Nikaya, the purpose is to explain the dependent origination with respect to the senses. By seeing a particular object, maybe a sight, so we can go through a kind of a causal reaction, causal process, and end up with suffering. So that suffering, what we are experiencing is a kind of a dependently arisen process, dependently arisen result. By hearing something, again we can go through a certain amount of suffering. That is also a dependently arisen result. By going through an odor, say we are going through a fragrance or we are experiencing some odor, that also can lead towards kind of a grasping, holding, craving, etc., etc. So ultimately end up with suffering. And then through the tongue, we can experience various tastes, and we may be enjoying that. We may start feeling different kinds of taste, different feelings, pleasurable feelings, painful feelings, etc. And in the previous Madhupindika Sutta, so we are very much like thinking about it. The thinking is the process that Venerable Mahakaccayana is pointing out. But here, more than thinking, how this is growing as a grasping situation. What we heard is very interesting. Now I am interested about it. Now I want to think about it. Now I want to sort of have it. So Vedana Pacca Tanha. Now that particular pleasurable feeling arisen is causing a desire in the mind. And now I am trying to fill that desire, or I am trying to fulfill that desire. So tanha pacca upadanam, so I am further growing that desire, improving that desire, so it becomes upadana, clinging. So the mind go and sort of clung to that. Upadana pacca bahu, now the mind has conditioned. Previously mind is, we can say, to some extent pure, to some extent simple. To some extent, it is not conditioned. But now it has become that, it has fairly conditioned. So whatever the person has seen has sort of captured the mind's attention, has captivated mind with that. So sometimes it is called as externally scattered, externally distracted. Bahidda viññānaṁ vikkittaṁ visatam. That is how it is explained in another sutta called Uddesa Vibhanga Sutta of Majjhima Nikaya. Bahidda viññānaṁ vikkittaṁ visatam. So that means externally, the viññāna, the consciousness, is completely scattered, completely distracted. So the previous, that unentangled nature of the mind or the consciousness, the clarity of the mind, non-clinging, non-grasping state of the mind, unattached state of the mind, that is lost now. Basically now mind has completely drifted to what it has seen, what the eye has seen, and it is now involved there. Now it is very much like delighted there and completely in the mind-made world, a fantasy, a mind-made condition. So this will lead to kind of a suffering, because this is not permanent. So what we are experiencing, what we have made by the mind are fully conditioned. So ultimately it will collapse. So the soka parideva, dukkha domana, supayasa sambhavanti. So various kinds of worries, lamentations, sufferings are going to arise. Ayam lokassa samudaya. Now this is the arising of the world. Now we see very interesting how Buddha clarifies the world. Now we are actually in a different way, we are trying to learn about the world. We are going around the world, we are using various vehicles, airplanes, rockets. We are going to the moon, we are going to the, say, various other planets to understand the world, to know the world. But here Buddha say, by looking at oneself, by looking at these five aggregates, one is now understanding how the world begins. Now you have generated your own world. You have fabricated your own world, depending on that sensory intact, depending on that sensory contact. And it has led to by the way, to the suffering, but that is the suffering world now we are in. Same is repeated for other faculties like sotamcha paticca saddecha uppajjati sota viññānam. That means as a result of the ear and the sound, it comes the sota viññāna, the ear consciousness. So likewise for other faculties also, the same formula is repeated. So you can see, so the faculties can take us to the kind of a dependently arisen suffering. We don't know how to stop in between. We don't know how to keep our mind intact. We don't know how to keep our mind without getting indulged or without getting participated. So immediately when we see something, we quickly jump to that, quickly start thinking that, now start desiring that, now I can grasp that, hold that. So fully conditioned now. Now the mind, and a certain amount of happiness would arise, because these phenomena are very unreliable. Basically, the things can fall apart. As a result of that, again, what happened? You end up with suffering. You end up with some sort of an agitation. You end up with kind of a frustration. So to all other senses also, the same formula is available. And so this is what Buddha points out in this particular sutta, and this is what Katukunda Thero wants to highlight, where the same sensory process is taking us to some sort of suffering in this according to this particular sutta. Okay, Saman.
Okay, Bhante. Yato niyatam bhikkhu purisam prapancha sanya sanka samudacharanti etecha natti abhinanditabbam ajjosetabbam esavanto raganusayam esavanto patiganusayam esavanto dittanusayam esavanto vichikichanusayam esavanto mananusayam esavanto bhavaragaanusayam esavanto avijjanusayam esavanto dandādāna sattādāna kalaha viggaha vivāda tuvantuva pesuñña musāvādanam ete pāpaka akusala dhamma aparisesa nirujjanti. If, O monk, one neither delights in nor asserts nor clings to that which makes one subject to concepts characterized by the prolific tendency, then that itself is the end of the proclivities to attachment. Aversion weaves perplexity pride, ignorance, and attachment to becoming. That itself is the end of taking the stick, of taking the weapon, of quarreling, of contending, disputing, accusation, slander, and lying speech. Here it is that all these evil, unskilled states cease without residue.
Okay, now basically, it's a very interesting point we need to understand that the why Venerable Mahakachana give this explanation, what is available in the Madhupindika Sutta, is for this particular very brief statement made by the Buddha, where Buddha mentioned, please go up, where Buddha mentioned, Yato nidanam bhikkhu purisang papancha sanya sanka samuda charanti etta che natti abhinanditabbang abhivaditabbang ajjose tabbang. So this is the statement that Buddha made, but he didn't give a detailed explanation and he went away. So then the monks actually went and requested from Venerable Mahakachana to give an explanation. So that is why he delivered the sermon in the Madhupindika Sutta. Because Buddha made only this statement, but he didn't give an explanation. So the statement is this. So the cause is this. For the Madhupindika Sutta to evolve, Venerable Mahakachana to interrupt or participate in the discussion. So this is the cause, or this is the statement, and which was made by the Buddha, where he mentioned, Yato nidanam bhikkhu purisam papancha sanya sanka samudachara. Now there are various concepts, interesting stuff, which can cause certain proliferation in one's mind. But here, the person, the practitioner, ettache natti abhinanditabbang, he doesn't get attached to that, or he doesn't get delighted with that. Abhivaditabbang, he is not welcoming that. Ajjosetabbang, he is not adhering to that. So if he is doing that, now, so he has to do that. So this is not a kind of a theoretical understanding or practically we are trying to sort of forcefully do it. Rather, it is a kind of a skill one has developed through one's vipassana practice. For another person, if he saw a beautiful image, assume that he is generating a lot of thoughts, a lot of thinking. Ultimately, he may buy that something, that particular beautiful thing, or he want to possess that beautiful thing. So likewise, it's a kind of a complete bewilderment happen, complete overwhelming thinking happen in that particular person. Suppose another practitioner is looking at the same thing, but for him, such kind of conceptual proliferation is not going on in his mind. So till we are promoting our inner traits, till we are promoting our inner habits, we can't get out of these latent tendencies. Now here we can see all the latent tendencies are listed. 7 latent tendencies are there. That means raganusaya, patighanusaya, ditthanusaya, vichikichanusaya, mananusaya, bhavaragaanusaya. And the last one, can you a little bit move down, Saman? Yeah. And then avijjanusaya. Now these are the anusayas, latent tendencies explained here. Now you can see if one is not getting delighted on those what he has seen, whatever the sight he has seen, if he is not welcoming that, if he is not getting adhered to that, so that means we are not promoting that particular trait in our mind. But the sight has seen, by the way. It's not that you have closed your eyes. You can see. But you are not delighted. You are not trapped. You are not involved. You are not welcoming that. And you are not adhered to that. You are not attracted to that. You are not attached to that. But you have seen. So this is a very interesting part, very interesting point that we need to understand. So how we can see something without being attracted? How we can maintain mere seeing? Ditte dittamattam bhavisati. So you are seeing, but that's it. You are not proliferating about it. You are not indulging in it. Or you are not welcoming it. You are not thinking about it. You are not adhering to it. You are not distracted or drifted to that. Rather, you are able to maintain the clarity of the mind. You are able to maintain the peacefulness of the mind. You are able to maintain that unattached, non-clinging, non-grasping state of the mind. So if we are able to do that, so what is the result? There Buddha mentioned, okay, you will be able to sort of completely abandon, completely discard, or completely stop Dandadana, Sattadana, Kalaha, Viggaha, Vivada, Tuantua, Pesunya, Musavada, Adinnadana. So, ettete papaka akusala dhamma aparisesa nirujjana. So, all that, the suffering, all that conflicts, all that arguments, disputes, everything will be completely ceased without a residue. So, you can read the English translation, Saman?
Yeah. From here again, Bhante. If a monk, one neither delights nor asserts nor clings to that which makes one subject to concepts characterized by the prolific tendency, then that itself is in the end of the proclivities to attachment, aversion, weaves, perplexity, pride, ignorance, and attachment to becoming. That itself is the end of taking the stick, of taking the weapon, of quarreling, contending, disputing, accusation, slander, and lying speech. Here it is that all these evil unskilled states cease without residue.
Okay, so I think we can stop here. So this is a very powerful statement Buddha made. But unfortunately, he didn't give the explanation. So that's why monks were perplexed and they arrived the Venerable Mahakachana. And Venerable Mahakachana is the one giving the explanation. And there he is giving how it can happen, how this is actually happening. And he basically finds out some intricacies, some little details, subtle components in this whole process. And ultimately, so all these unskillful states, all these, tendencies, all those despairs, all those kinds of issues, views, perplexities, pride, ignorance, everything happens because of the conceptual proliferation. So you can see conceptual proliferation plays an extremely important role in this whole samsara. So if you are able to minimize that, if you are able to, subside that, if you are able to completely abandon that, so that's a huge achievement that one can do. So that's why as Vipassana yogis, so we must always try to abandon conceptual proliferation. Keep the mind away from conceptual proliferation. And Buddha mentioned, so we can see in the future on next sessions, actually he says conceptual proliferation is a disease. It's a dart, it's a boil. To such extent it is so dangerous, so harmful. So we should understand its danger. Okay, with that, I like to conclude the discussion of this Concept and Reality book. Now I like to open the session for questions.
Sarai Bhante, we have 5 questions today.
Right.
Question number 1 of 5. General question. Dear Bhante, Bhante often tells us to give prominence to the knowledge we gain from practice rather than book knowledge or inferential knowledge. Can you please give us an example and explain a bit of a meditational experience or insight that we gain from mindfulness on breath or mindfulness on the walking process? With metta. That's the end of the question.
Yeah, say for example, you are practicing mindful walking and your foot is touching the ground, and at that time assume that you recognize tightness. So once you recognize tightness, assume now your book knowledge come forward and it will start talking, okay, this is the Patavi Dhatu, this is what you Buddha mentioned as the the earth element. So there are other 3 elements also available, but that is not what I am experiencing now. What I am experiencing is the Patavi Dhatu, the earth element. Earth element characteristics are these things. Currently you are experiencing only the hardness, but there are, various other characteristics are also available. Heaviness is also another characteristic. Lightness is also another characteristic. And there's a very interesting sutta called Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta. There are huge explanation is available about these elements, and the elements meditation is explained in the Satipatthana Sutta. So all what we have heard, all what we have listened to the Dhamma, what we have read in the books, can come to the forward. Now you are not meditating. This is not what you are supposed to do. So this is where the book knowledge come front, and we basically have not given enough attention to the experiential knowledge. So experiential knowledge has to basically has to given enough prominence. Otherwise, mind starts talking. Mind starts interrupting. So the what we call as this book knowledge, Suttame Jnana, actually comes forward. Every time we need to maintain a very vigilant attention. Okay, the experiential knowledge should be given enough attention, given enough prominence, because otherwise you can't proceed. It's a kind of an interruption that we go through as a result of this interrupting thinking with respect to the book, if we come across. Yeah.
Question number 2 of 5. This is also a general question. Dear Venerable Sir, I had years of mindfulness practice and participated in multiple retreats before COVID. Last 2 years, I could not do much due to workplace and family matters, and tried to keep in touch with the practice whenever I could. This program helped a lot as well, and much merits for everyone involved. Having gone through years of practice and a substantial time of non-practice as well, I have observed that my innermost skills have not changed that much. While I am in good touch with the mindfulness practice, these dormant defilements won't come out, and I feel calm, relaxed, and content. I have spent a meritorious life with very little cravings, lust, jealousy, anger, and negative mind states. When the good qualities of mindfulness practice wear off over a time period, I have observed excessive lust, jealousy, anger creep in like floodgates. Having seen both sides of the coin, now doubt comes into mind, as if we are just bandaging the real problem. Appreciate Venerable Sir's advice. With metta, that's the end of the question.
Yeah, very interesting question and kind of a challenging question. So we may be continuing our practice, and of course we can't see a significant reduction in our defilements. So that's a kind of a complaint that we can receive, we can get, because we can't see a quick abandoning of lust. You can see the lust, and you can't see quick abandoning of anger. You can still get angry, and that anger, that lust is very prominent. But interesting thing is, now you can recognize lust as lust, you can recognize anger as anger, but you are not too much emotionally involved in too much thinking about it. Now say for example, you are a person who is a romantic person. You like romance. So you think about him, or you think about another one, and you are imagining about various situations, how you are taking your hand and thinking and being, and you are imagining so many things, and that is complete conceptual proliferation. It has somewhat stopped as a result of the practice, but you still can see the lust. So that is the core actually. So previously actually we are assume that you are in a romantic situation. Underneath what is available is the lust, but it is being covered by that romantic sort of thoughts, icing of the cake. But now that has stopped, that has gone. But the root has come forward. Now the very, the strong causes have come forward. Now you see that directly. It's amazing. So you can't even believe how can this much of lust was available in the mind, how much of anger available in the mind, how much this kind of defilements available in the mind. Because previously we were simply, putting enough compassion, we are putting enough labels, we are putting icing, and different ways that we do different augmentation to all that. But now that augmentation has abandoned, As a result of that, very naked defilements are visible. So we get discouraged to see all these defilements. Can't help. So this is what we were sort of developing all this far. Now, at least now we need to find a solution. What we can do is to recognize these defilements again and again through wisdom. Panyaya disva pahatabba. So again and again Buddha highlights. So you need to recognize these defilements through wisdom. So don't be impatient. Don't sort of discouraged. Slowly try to recognize these defilements and not to follow what these defilements are suggesting. Now, say for example, lust arising, and lust may suggest, a lustful thought may suggest you to follow something. If you follow that, then you are again promoting that same lust, same defilement, same latent tendency, the raga anusaya, you are again promoting. But from your side, once you recognize lust, now you need to abandon lust. So this is not an easy task. You need to understand, I mean, we can practice when the defilements are there. How can we stop act according to that? So we have to go against the grain. Our lustful mind asks this and that. Our angry mind asks this and that. But at that moment, we have to restrain ourselves. We have to stop that old habit and have to take a different path. Then only we are weakening that latent tendency. Then only we are weakening that the defilement. That's the only path.
Question number 3 of 5. This is a Dhammasaman question. I thought language plays a very important role for understanding, especially the Dhamma. Example, even in Buddha's time, Pali language was used to help understand the Dhamma. For example, in communication. Would I be correct, Bhante, in seeing that? Sadhu.
Yes, definitely. Definitely, actually, the language is a very powerful tool. And that's why we are learning, that's why we are, teaching and analyzing and discussing and all these things. Language is a very strong tool. But there may be situations that language can't explain your certain experience. Probably language may have its limitations. But anyway, we can make use of the language. Then only we can actually conduct a very good discussion or kind of trying to understand Buddha's teaching. Yes.
Question number 4 of 5.
Back to you, right.
Yeah. Question number 4 of 5. Dear Bhante, as novice practitioners, is it possible for us to stop stage 3 of your diagram shown today? Presume once one become an arahat, stage 2 can be controlled or conquered. Appreciate Bhante's explanation. With metta, that's the end of the question.
Yeah, I think we might not be able to completely stop, but at least we can minimize that to some extent. The thing is, yang vitakketi tam papancheti, yang papancheti, ultimately will go through a completely overwhelmed state. So that overwhelming part we can minimize. Say, for example, you are in the walking path. Suppose you get distracted and you have distracted for 10 minutes, completely lost. But the practitioner can continue and he may experience, now I get lost, but not 10 minutes, but maybe 6 minutes. So that completely bewildered or completely deluded time become less and less, become shortened. Now maybe 7 minutes, now maybe 6 minutes, now maybe 5 minutes, now maybe 4 minutes, now maybe 2 minutes, now maybe 1 minute. So that means your proliferating tendency become less and less. On the other hand, your ability to be with the selected object, say your primary object, becomes more stronger. You can maintain your attention with the primary object for a longer period of time. So that indicates your strength is growing, mindfulness is growing, your attention is growing. On the other hand, that proliferating tendency is weakening. So this is the stages actually we can recognize as a beginner, or rather say as a practitioner, as we are moving forward in our practice. Okay.
Question number 5 of 5. It's a general question. Dear Bhante, for my earlier question at the end part of your Dhamma talk, I understood partially that if one no asserts or no clings to stage 3, Papanya, Sanya, Sanka, Samudaya, Charanti. All unskilled dates, it says, but I don't think that's what it's meant, will cease without any residue. What then? Does that mean we cannot stop stage 3 or control these proliferations? Does that mean we cannot stop stage 3 or control these proliferations?
No, that means we can stop. That's why Buddha indicates. So, Buddha say, for one person, he continued to proliferate. For another person, to the real practitioner, he has this capacity. He is not getting delighted. He is not getting attached. He is not getting involved. He is not getting adhered. As a result of that, all these conflicts, all these, perplexities, all these doubts, all the latent tendencies are abandoned. That means possible. It's a very, very strong way of overcoming defilements, because we are not promoting that. We are not thinking in line with that. We are not obsessively thinking in a particular defilement according to that particular defilement. Rather, we stop thinking or abandon thinking and keep the mind fairly silent, quiet. So that itself, that very practice is a very powerful practice which causes us to abandon or weaken all the defilements, weaken all the issues, weaken all the conflicts. So that is the important thing we need to understand. So this is a very interesting parameter. So abandoning of prapancha, minimizing of prapancha is a very strong reason for us to progress in our practice.
So, that is the end of the written questions. Because so this Bhante has the Kalalgoda program, we will end the program now.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Yes. So to end the program.
Anyway, someone has raised the hand. We'll answer that question.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Hiranti, I have.
Thank you, Bhante. That was Saranai. Just want to ask a question. I live abroad, in UK, and there are relatives in Sri Lanka. Now we have some things which are supposed to come to us really from the relatives. But if someone is trying to hide that and do something, if they want to have it, the way I have, my mind is saying is, just let them have it, because you don't want to argue and you don't want to lengthen your life, you see, samsara, by, conflict with them. So I just want to know whether that is the right way, because I am okay. Even though I'm not, the way to end this samsara is to not have this type of arguments and fighting and all that. It's a mind-boggling exercise. So my view is that I just want from a, person like yourself, some advice. Am I in the right way? Especially papancha, all these will come into act if I do go into this scenario. I didn't get the gist of the thing I'm trying to. Did you understand my?
I think yes. So basically, I can agree with you. So there are 7 ways that Buddha explained that how one can abandon asavas, how one can abandon influxes. So one thing is this parivajjana pahatabba, where you are not getting involved unnecessary situations. You are minimizing that. Because if you participate, then as you have mentioned, so unnecessary questions, unnecessary conflicts, arguments, everything can happen. So you see the danger in that. As a result of that, you are, not participating in that. Because you have seen the danger. If you are going to participate, if you are going to interact, then more troubles are there. So you see the danger, and as a result of that, you simply abandon. I don't need it. So let me maintain my clarity of the mind. Let me continue my practice. Not that interested. So I can agree with you.
Yeah. So I'm in the right thinking, because the ending samsara is my most important object in this life. If I can at least proceed a bit quicker.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, Bhante. Theruvan saranai.
Someone can argue that from the economic point of view, you are losing. But it depends on what are your priorities. If your priority is to gather so many things and to become rich and, then that's a different story.
Yeah.
But if your priorities are now different, then of course we can go through a different way. So we are going against the grain.
Correct, Bhante. Yeah, that's my view, is the aggro of all that.
Correct.
Thank you, Theruvan saranai.
Yeah, Theruvan saranai.
So we will end the program now.
Yes. Okay.
To end the program, I would first like to thank Bhante for his valuable time, even with the busy schedule at the monastery. To all the supporters of this program, both seen and unseen, and to the participants for joining today to practice and share their questions. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu.
Theruvan saranai.
Yeah, Theruvan saranai.
Theruvan saranai, Bhante.